Hey, welcome back to Damper 3, where we are scouring the galaxy looking for the best sci-fi television series ever. We've already looked at The $6 Million Man, now we're off to Battlestar Galactica. Care to join us? No need to be so formal. See you on the other side of the intro. Hey everybody, welcome back to Damper 3. Eric here.
Hey, it's Jeff. What do you say, gang?
And we are continuing our search for the ultimate sci-fi television show over the last few decades. In the first episode, we covered The $6 Million Man, and today we are talking Battlestar Galactica, the original series, not the reimagined one. So we're talking the series that Glenn Larson was responsible for, kicked off in 1978. Did you know, Jeff, that he actually pitched the proto Battlestar Galactica in the late 60s? I did not realize that. Yeah, it was. He had this treatment called Adam's arc, and I guess it had something to do with the movement of humans across the solar system or something like that. After Star Wars came out, he kind of repurposed it a bit. Now, this is the one started in September of 1978, and get this, one season of Battlestar Galactica is all we got. You know, and yet it still holds up in a lot of ways as one of the best science fiction shows out there. Now, let me ask you, Cylons, Jeff, who were they?
Yeah, they were I suppose they were the ancestors of Kit, Knight Rider, because they had the little slatty eye.
Let's set the stage. If you're watching this, you probably know all about Battlestar Galactica, but
okay.
The Battlestar Galactica depicts a group of humans who live somewhere out there in the stars, who are on the run, being chased to extermination by an evil group of aliens called the Cylons. But the Cylons are all robotic. Did you know they didn't start that way? The Cylons were actually a reptilian race who was at war long before. They designed the robot Cylons to do their dirty work, to go after and exterminate the humans. And just over time, the reptilians died out and the robotic Cylons lived on to continue the war against humans. So
I did not know that.
So that sets the stage. So you've got this mass of humanity who's on the run. The Cylons are going after them, and they are trying to find Earth because their home has been destroyed by the Cylons. Now it's time to, their only hope is to find Earth. A lot of folks have heard about how George Lucas wasn't super excited about this whole Battlestar Galactica thing.
Right.
And here's the thing is I would like to put a little context on this. Remember, George Lucas was not the mega billion-dollar behemoth that he is today, right? So when Star Wars came out and then Battlestar Galactica came in, and there's some pretty compelling similarities in style between the two, especially since they pulled on some Lucasfilm, technicians and artists and sort of thing. They submitted in their lawsuit, I want to say, 34, I got it right here, 34 similarities saying this is why we're saying you're a ripoff. So I've got a list of some of them, Jeff. I'm going to read them to you, and I want you to give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, verbal or physical, whether you think there's legitimacy to some of these, okay?
Okay.
All right, similarity number 1. The central conflict of each story is a war between the galaxy's democratic and totalitarian forces.
Nah,
or not?
I don't get that.
I think that's, how can you have a movie or a show without some kind of battle between good and evil, right? In Star Wars, the young hero's father had been a leader of the democratic forces. Who? What father?
Apollo's father is Adama.
No. In Star Wars, the young hero's father. This has to be a reference to Princess Leia and her dad, but because it wasn't Luke, because at the time we don't know who Luke's dad really is, right? Well, I guess we do because Obi-Wan says your dad was a whatever, but it's not really central to the plot now, is it? Okay, in Star Wars, a young hero's father had been a leader of the Democratic Forces, and the present leader of the Democratic Forces is a father figure to young hero, which they're implying is Obi-Wan. Then it says, in Battlestar, the young hero's father, Apollo's dad, is the leader of the Democratic Forces. So I'm not buying that one. I'm sorry. You're giving the thumbs down on that one too? That's a stretch. I'm not digging saying that just because Adama is the leader of the forces of the humans and Obi-Wan somehow is a father figure, he's not even in charge of the rebels.
your characters have parents. My characters have parents.
Now, one of the points that they do make that I think stands out the most is the fact that, unlike most science fiction up to this point, spaceships are always shown as sleek and clean and super, whatever. Whereas in Star Wars and in Battlestar Galactica, it looks beat up, run down, they're used. And there is definitely that element, I think, of overlap that I think that's really what drew them to Battlestar Galactica.
I always thought it was just the similarities between the Viper fighters and X-wings.
Right.
As a kid, they just looked an awful lot alike to me.
They were all designed.
One was a Y.
Luckily for us, Battlestar Galactica survived. All right, well, let's jump into it. We're talking iconic moments from Battlestar Galactica, the moments that kind of just stuck with us over the decades. Jeff, I want to let you kick off. Give us an iconic moment for you.
We have a planet with I believe it was a widow and her son, and the sheriff was backstabbing jerk, and he had a gunslinger with him that was a Cylon with a disrupted memory.
It was his muscle. Apollo, right? Doesn't Apollo wind up? He's kind of like separated.
Yeah.
And he becomes
Apollo got separated. He ends up down there, and he puts the Cylon down.
He's the Gary Cooper.
It was a shock to me. I didn't see that coming.
Right. Yeah, that was a really awesome episode. I remember, Starbuck was my favorite character, but, Apollo doing that was pretty darn cool. All right. So my first one actually is episodes 1 and 2. And I'm cheating with that one a little bit just because if Battlestar Galactica stole from Star Wars, they also kind of were a little prescient and were able to pull from Empire Strikes Back because the whole series starts off in a super awesome way in that, it starts off with humanity on the run. It begins with they're all getting ready for these peaceful negotiations with the Cylons, and Baltar's there, who kind of is the backstabbing human, and they wipe out the planets of the humans, right? And they have to flee. And so it's depressing. It sets up all the characters. What I noticed, because I rewatched them not too long ago, I noticed that the main characters are all.
Where did you watch them?
Prime, Amazon Prime.
Shut up. Okay.
Yeah, you got to buy them. They're not free, unfortunately. I thought they were on Peacock, but they're not.
No. Anyway, go ahead.
But the main characters, Richard Hatch, Lauren Green, Dirk Benedict, all the main characters, Boomer and Jolly and Athena, and all, they're all great actors. They all do a really good job selling who they are. Most of the orbiting secondary characters, not so much. A lot of corny kind of acting in there. They don't really sell it very well, but whenever they're focused on the main characters, really, really good stuff. But this idea that, you had this fleet of battle stars and they've all been destroyed kind of in a Pearl Harbor kind of thing. You've only got one surviving battle star, and they pull together all the remaining spacecraft they could have and load up all the humans they can, and they're in this desperate run. And they make it clear from the beginning, we don't even have enough fuel to get out of here. So we're going to hope we can find some fuel. So so the iconic moment for me was the setting of a very grim kind of reminds me of the end of Empire Strikes Back. The good guys are on the run here, and they're trying their best to survive. And so the kickoff of the series was absolutely, you've seen series just die off at 2 and 3 episodes because there just wasn't the episode. And you can see why there was an audience for Battlestar Galactica right away.
When Admiral Kane showed up in his Battlestar, that may have been in 1980. I don't know.
No. That was Living Legend. Yep. Yeah. I was going to bring that Admiral one up Kane, too.
Yeah, Admiral Kane shows up in his Battlestar, and they decide to turn around and smack the Cylons for a change and surprise them. And I remember when Um, you said Baltar was his name. I'd forgotten the
Yeah,
human's name that was the
the evil
traitor.
human. Yep.
Yeah. So the Imperious leader, which the Cylons always said, by your command, Imperious leader. Um, but the Cylons, there's two Cylons with Baltar, and he's attack the Battlestar. And which one? What do you mean? And then all of a sudden, here comes Kane with his. And yeah, I always that I was probably jumping out of my seat with
Yeah, that
when
was.
he said which one.
There's two episodes. That was a two-part
Yeah,
series, Living
yes,
Legend
it
1
was.
and 2. And it was, do you remember who played Kane?
No, I don't.
Lloyd Bridges. So Lloyd
Okay,
Bridges was Commander Kane, which makes it extraordinarily difficult because when did this come out? 1978, 1979, right? He plays the air traffic controller in the movie Airplane in 1980. And so every time I see Kane, I'm thinking of the guy who's saying, I picked the wrong time to quit sniffing glue. So you got to get past that, Gen Xers, if because he does a great job as Commander Kane.
he was an arrogant jerk.
He was. He
Yeah,
was. There was a part in there where they're flying to uh, uh, intercept the Cylon tankers so they can get
yeah,
gas. Well, Kane
right,
blew them up because he didn't want those tankers. He wanted them to attack the Cylon base stars. And
right.
Adama was, and that's what I like about this show is that Adama is not. He's not perfect. He's always cautious. You know, he's always erring on the side of caution. There are a couple of times they make it clear that he's doing it because he doesn't necessarily want to endanger the life of his son. Because in the first episode, Apollo's younger brother dies. His wife
Oh,
dies.
wow, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
his wife and son die, and so he's super cautious. And so sometimes you could tell he's making these calls because he's erring on the side of timidity. Whereas Lloyd Bridges is all about let's go kill him, let's go knock him out. And so that was those two episodes, the Living Legends, were really just amazing.
Apollo and Starbuck have captured a Cylon raider, and I don't remember how.
Right.
Yeah, yep. So they put they were going to fly in, and I don't know, I don't remember the objective of the mission. But you know, think Independence Day, they were going to fly in and drop off a virus and get out of there. And so they were flying back to it's not a battle star. What were whatever the battle stations were for the Cylons? I forget.
Base
It was
Star.
the Base Star, yes. And so they're flying back with a group of Cylon raiders, but they had put a special transponder identifying
Yep.
device on their craft. And so they said, you know, as long as you have that turned on, we won't shoot you when you come back. And they said, well, what if something happens to it? He said, I'll waggle my wings.
Right.
And so if, and spoiler alert, something happened to the transponder of all things. Who could have imagined? And he's
knew?
flying back, and the Battlestar's getting ready to shoot at him. And I believe it was Starbuck, may have been Apollo. They were kind of interchangeable for me at that point. But he's like, hold on. And he starts waggling the wings, and the Cylon Raiders coming back in. And
they're waggling.
Yeah. And then they end up flying back in, and I think they crashed. I don't think they had it under control.
They
crashed.
The only other one I've got, and there's so many others, and I'm just going to mention this briefly because I don't remember a couple of key moments of it, was when Apollo dies, and they encounter someone who is strongly suggested to be the devil, and Apollo gets killed. They're leaving, and they get swallowed up by this ship of light. And next thing you know, they're all wearing what I thought was the coolest looking. They're wearing their pilot uniforms, but they're all white. Everything's white. And then Apollo gets resurrected, and then they're all good to go. Then
go ahead.
I got one negative point: Moffat and Boxey. As a kid, I thought it was great. There's one scene where Moffat bites the leg off of a Cylon, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. Watching it today, it just drives me insane. It's clearly it's for television. It's to bring the kids in. Do you know how they powered Muffet?
No.
Chimp. That is a chimp inside of that.
Wow.
And and if you watch him move, you'll see, because he doesn't stride like or whatever. Let's just say I just saw one brief little comment that said 3 chimps played in that season. So I'm assuming they meant they rotated them and not went through them So yeah.
No chimps were harmed in the filming of this. Dang it. Wow.
So guys, Battlestar Galactica, definitely one of the best sci-fis out there. It's lasted all this time. I mean, obviously rebooted and just an amazing show. I think it's definitely, you can see the imprint of Star Wars on it, but it's its own creature. No doubt about it. And definitely one of my favorites. Is it the best sci-fi show out there? I don't know. We got a few more to go through. So let us know what your iconic moments are, what you loved, what you hated about Battlestar Galactica, and
let us know what shows you liked.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be Battlestar Galactica. If you think that we're missing a series, bring it up.
Yep, we got a couple more of these that we have planned, but we'll let you know if you come up with something that we don't, that we're not tracking. So thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Like, subscribe, follow us, Facebook, Instagram, Thread.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Eric, maybe kill the OnlyFans. So, thanks, gang.
Take care.